Imagine an island with the most beautiful waters on the planet, a country where there are tens of thousands more women than men, and where foreign tourists are not only welcome, they are desired. A place with forbidden islands, deadly snakes, pirate treasures, and a natural phenomenon that makes the world believe that the ocean falls into the void. We are talking about Mauritius, the most desired island in Africa. In this video from Uncensored World, you will discover why this paradise attracts thousands of tourists every year, and why many of those who arrive don't want to leave. Get ready and give us a like, because what you are about to see is not what you imagine. Let's begin. Curiosity number 1, the island where men are missing. Mauritius, besides being a paradise island, is also a country and has one of the most striking demographic inequalities in the entire African continent. In this small island state, women clearly outnumber men, representing more than 52% of the total population, which translates into more than 68,000 more women than men throughout the country. But this imbalance did not appear by chance or overnight. For centuries, the history of Mauritius was marked by conflict, exploitation, slavery, and extreme labor, especially on plantations and in harsh activities that mainly affected its male population. Added to this is the fact that, for decades, many men emigrated in search of job opportunities outside the island, something common in small and isolated territories such as this paradise. The result is a society where women are in the majority, and where social, emotional, and family relationships function in a very different way from what we are used to. Later, when we talk about the history of slavery and runaway slaves, you will better understand the many reasons for this lack of men. Curiosity number 2, foreign tourists are welcome here. In Mauritius, foreign tourists are not invisible, quite the contrary. Due to the imbalance between men and women that you have noticed, the natural curiosity about the outside world, and the open nature of society, Western and Latin American visitors arouse a very special interest, especially among many young women. To understand this, several key factors must be taken into account. Mauritius is an extremely remote island country, lost in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It is located more than 2,000 kilometers from the African continent and thousands of kilometers from Europe, America, or Asia, making it one of the most isolated inhabited countries on the planet. This distance is not only geographical, but also social and even more so emotional. Therefore, for many people who live here, meeting a foreigner means getting a glimpse of other countries, other cultures, and other possibilities in life. In a small territory, surrounded only by ocean, visitors become more than tourists. They become the best window to the outside world. In addition, the island has always been a meeting point for races, religions, and cultures, which has created an open, non-conservative, and very curious mentality, where contact with outsiders is not seen as something strange but as an opportunity. Added to this is the fact that many women seek to broaden their horizons, travel, emigrate, or simply have different experiences. That is why foreign tourists often receive a level of attention, closeness, and warmth that surprises those arriving for the first time. It is not just a matter of tourist hospitality. It is a real social dynamic where visitors are seen as interesting, different, and, in many cases, desirable. In Mauritius, it is very common to see mixed couples made up of local women and foreign men, something that attracts attention even within the African continent itself. Many tourists not only return several times, but end up settling on the island, whether for work, quality of life, or because of a romantic relationship that began during a vacation. And all this makes even more sense when you learn about the island's past and its people's struggle for freedom. Curiosity number 3, the African country that looks like India. Mauritius is one of the biggest cultural clashes in all of Africa, because despite being geographically on the African continent, almost 48% of its population is of Indian origin, a figure so high that it makes this island the country with the greatest Indian influence in Africa. This presence is not superficial or touristy. It can also be seen in the streets and culture. It is one of the few places in the world where you can be in Africa, and feel like you have landed in India. Hindu temples, turbans, daily rituals, and massive festivals dominate the island, because here, Hinduism is not a minority. It is a reality that governs everyday life. From official holidays to political power, Indian culture sets the pace for the country, something that fascinates first-time visitors. One of the most striking moments is the Holi festival, where thousands of people throw colored powder at each other in the streets. During those days, Mauritius ceases to resemble Africa and becomes a living extension of the Indian subcontinent in the middle of the Indian Ocean. This reality is due to the country's recent history. It was in the 19th century, after the abolition of slavery, that the British brought thousands of Indian workers to replace slave labor on the sugarcane plantations. Many arrived on temporary contracts, but ended up staying forever. Those Indians formed families and communities and ended up becoming the cultural, religious, and social core of an entire country. This reality even influences personal relationships and the open-mindedness that characterizes the island today. Such an open cultural mix explains many of the social dynamics that we will see later, especially when we talk about extreme hospitality and the relationship with tourists. Curiosity number 4. The place where the ocean seems to fall into the void. Mauritius is world famous for an image that looks like something out of a science fiction movie, the underwater waterfall. In this postcard, seen from the air, the ocean gives the impression of opening up and falling into a gigantic abyss, as if there were a hole at the bottom of the sea that swallowed everything. For years, millions of people believed that this was a real and possibly terrifying phenomenon. But the truth was even more fascinating. This underwater waterfall is not a real waterfall, but one of the most perfect optical illusions created by nature. It is formed by the precise combination of sea currents, sand swept along the bottom, and sudden changes in depth that completely deceive the human eye. It is as if nature itself had designed the movement of the sea with mathematical precision, placing each current in exactly the right place to create the sensation that the ocean is opening up and plunging into the void. The result is a landscape so hypnotic that it seems to come from an unreal world, a natural masterpiece that defies logic and leaves even those who know its explanation speechless. The sand flows into deeper areas of the ocean, and, seen from above, simulates a torrent falling into the void, deceiving even experienced pilots. This phenomenon can only be fully appreciated from the air, and those who see it for the first time say that it is one of those images that remain etched in their memory forever. But this is not the only place in Mauritius that provokes fear and fascination at the same time. Curiosity number 5. The island where almost no one dares to live. Very close to the idyllic beaches and luxury resorts of Mauritius lies a place shrouded in mystery and fear. Snake Island. This uninhabited enclave with very restricted access has been avoided for generations. The reason is not so much the land itself, but the waters that surround it. This area of the Indian Ocean is home to highly venomous sea snakes, some of which possess one of the most potent venoms in the animal kingdom. Although attacks are extremely rare, their mere presence has been enough to fuel the fear and stories surrounding the island. Many believe that the island's name comes precisely from these marine reptiles, visible at certain times of the year near the coast, which caused fishermen and sailors to avoid the area for centuries. Although there are no deadly land snakes on the island, its dangerous reputation, coupled with its isolation and protected status, has prevented anyone from settling there permanently. But snakes are not the only thing that protects this place. Because, according to old legends passed down through generations, somewhere on this island or another very close by, there could be a hidden pirate treasure, attributed to ancient corsairs of the Indian Ocean, sought after for centuries and never found. Curiosity number 6. The pirate treasure that remains missing. During the 17th century, the waters near Mauritius were a regular haunt for privateers and pirates operating between Africa, Madagascar, and this island country, then known as Île-de-France. It was a perfect setting for disappearing, and also for hiding treasure. Among all the pirates who plied these seas, one name stands out above the rest: William Kidd. Kidd was no ordinary pirate. He was a captain in the English Navy and a privateer authorized by the British Crown, with official permission to attack enemy ships. But according to history and legend, a chain of questionable decisions, political betrayals, and accusations that were never entirely clear made him one of the most hunted men of his time. It is believed that during his voyages in the Indian Ocean, Kidd hid part of his booty in Mauritius, taking advantage of its isolation, impenetrable vegetation, natural caves, and sparse permanent European presence. The reason was simple. Kidd knew that his fate was sealed and that he was going to be arrested. That treasure was not just gold and jewels. For him, it was his life insurance, a bargaining chip with which he hoped to negotiate his freedom. In fact, he even claimed that he had hidden such a large booty that he could buy the favor of any government. But of course, he never revealed its exact location. Years passed, and in 1701, William Kidd was executed in London without ever confessing where his treasure was. Since then, the legend has continued to grow. Incomplete maps, ancient documents, and coded accounts have pointed to uninhabited islets off Mauritius, now submerged coastal caves, and areas protected by nature itself as possible hiding places. Explorers, archaeologists, and treasure hunters have tried to locate it for centuries. All have failed. Some believe that the treasure never existed. Others are convinced that it is still there, hidden under volcanic sand, perhaps on Snake Island, or buried under the dense jungle and rock of some other nearby island, waiting for someone to decipher the clues that William Kidd left behind. And the most disturbing thing is this: no theory has been completely ruled out. The legend of Mauritius's pirate treasure lives on, and perhaps, one day, it will be someone like you who comes closest to discovering it in this earthly paradise. If you are enjoying this journey, now is the best time to give us a like and help Uncensored World. Behind each video are many hours of research, and your support is what helps us most to continue discovering places, mysteries, and realities to experience with you. Thank you for being on the other side. Curiosity number 7. The mountain where slaves chose death over slavery. In Mauritius, there is a place revered by all its inhabitants, Le Morne Brabant Mountain. For Mauritians, it is not just a mountain. It is the emotional, historical, and spiritual heart of the island, a silent symbol of struggle, memory, and freedom. The reason is that, for centuries, hundreds of fugitive slaves managed to escape from the plantations and took refuge on the slopes of this mythical mountain to avoid being captured. They lived hidden there, isolated from the world, surviving on the bare minimum in a harsh and hostile environment, although for many it was a safer place than returning to slavery. The best-known legend tells that when the authorities climbed the mountain to announce the abolition of slavery, many slaves, believing that they had come to capture them, preferred to throw themselves into the void rather than return to a life in chains. This episode left a deep mark on the island. For generations at the height of slavery, forced labor almost always fell to men. Endless days, severe punishments, and a life marked by constant physical exhaustion. Many could not withstand this pace, and others chose to leave when they had the opportunity, seeking a future in other territories in the Indian Ocean or on the African continent. Meanwhile, women remained on the island, sustaining families, traditions, and entire communities. Over the years, this reality gradually shaped Mauritius, giving rise to a situation that is still clearly visible today. Therefore, this difference between men and women that we mentioned at the beginning of the video is not something casual or recent, but rather the silent consequence of centuries of history, of forced decisions, and of an island that learned to survive by reinventing itself. And now, when you look at Mauritius with new eyes, you understand that behind its paradisiacal beauty, there is a much deeper history than meets the eye. Today, Le Morne is a World Heritage Site and a symbol of freedom, resistance, and sacrifice. Thinking about all this, would you go and live on a paradise island with many more women than men and where tourists are given so much attention? Do you think it would be an advantage, or would it end up being more complicated than it seems? What do you think? Leave us your opinion in the comments. It will be great and very fun to read. Thank you. Curiosity number 8. The Hawaii of Africa. Mauritius has been nicknamed the Hawaii of Africa, and those who visit it often say that the nickname doesn't do it justice. Short because Mauritius offers equally spectacular landscapes. But with one big difference: it is much cheaper and less crowded than other famous paradises around the world. Almost untouched white sand beaches, coral reefs teeming with life, ancient volcanoes covered in vegetation, tropical rainforests, and giant waterfalls coexist on a relatively small island, creating a concentration of beauty that is hard to match. All this is surrounded by incredibly crystal clear, calm, and warm waters throughout the year, making Mauritius one of the most desirable destinations on the planet for snorkeling and diving. Unlike Hawaii or other luxury destinations, in Mauritius it is possible to sleep by the sea, eat well, and enjoy water activities at much lower prices, which is why the island has earned a reputation as one of the most beautiful and affordable paradises in the world. Furthermore, unlike other crowded destinations, many areas of Mauritius still retain a sense of calm, exclusivity, and unspoiled nature, something increasingly rare in global tourism. Here, it is still possible to feel like you are discovering a paradise, and not simply visiting one that everyone knows about. It is therefore no coincidence that those who visit Mauritius not only fall in love with the place, but dream of returning. Curiosity number 9. Coffee that doesn't exist anywhere else. Very few people know this, but sugarcane coffee was born in Mauritius almost out of necessity. During the 19th century, the island was covered with huge cane plantations, while traditional coffee was expensive, scarce, and difficult to import. It was then that some workers and settlers began to experiment, fermenting and roasting cane derivatives to create a hot, stimulating, and naturally sweet drink. The result surprised everyone: an intense and different flavor, perfectly adapted to the local climate and resources. A drink with a milder, slightly sweet profile, very different from conventional coffee, which today can only be found in a few places on the planet, with Mauritius being its main reference point. Over time, the Hindu community adopted this practice, perfected it, and passed it down from generation to generation, integrating it into their daily lives as their own tradition. Today, Mauritius is one of the few places in the world where you can still taste this unique coffee, a drink born out of scarcity and the creativity of an island that knew how to reinvent itself. This is yet another example of how Mauritius transformed its colonial past into unique traditions that have survived the test of time. Curiosity number 10. The paradise that lost its most famous creature. Thousands of years ago, when the world still hid creatures that would seem impossible to us today, the Earth was home to a bird that seemed to come from another planet. A strange, clumsy, and unique animal that never knew fear, because it never needed to. That bird was the dodo, and Mauritius was the only place on the planet where it existed. It was a large bird with a robust body, unable to fly and completely trusting. Trusting because for thousands of years it lived on this island without natural predators, which caused it to lose any instinct to flee. The dodo bird did not need to fly or hide. It surely thought that paradise had protected it. But that trust became its sentence. It all began with the arrival of Europeans in the 16th century. With them came not only hunters, but also rats, pigs, and dogs, animals that had never before existed on the island, and began to destroy the dodo's nests located on the ground. Thus, in just a few decades, a species that had survived for millennia disappeared forever. The last documented dodo died at the end of the 17th century, unaware that it would become one of the most powerful symbols of extinction caused by humans. Today, the dodo is an uncomfortable reminder. Not even paradise is eternal if the balance is broken, and even less so if humans interfere with it. This has probably given you food for thought, so we ask you, do you think humans have learned anything from stories like that of the dodo? Or are we still making the same mistakes? We look forward to reading your comments. Curiosity number 11. The most valuable stamps on the planet. Mauritius was the 5th country in the world to issue postage stamps, a detail that few people know, but which has turned the island into a myth, especially for collectors. The reason is that some of these stamps, such as the famous penny blue and the penny red, contain historical printing errors. These errors are very small, but at the same time so valuable that some of these stamps have reached prices of millions of dollars. Their rarity has led to thefts, forgeries, and extreme surveillance. Today, they are protected as if they were real jewels, and can be seen in the Blue Penny Museum, one of the most curious places in the country. A very safe place that has a lot to do with the last curiosity of this trip through Mauritius. Curiosity number 12, one of the safest and most stable countries in Africa. Few people know this, but despite its past, marked by slavery and colonization, Mauritius is today one of the safest, most stable, and peaceful countries in all of Africa. Life here moves at a different pace. In many areas, it is common to see houses without bars, doors open during the day, and children playing in the street without constant supervision. Crime is low, and the feeling of safety is something that particularly surprises those who arrive from large cities or more conflict-ridden countries. The country has a modern tourist infrastructure, well-maintained roads, quality services, and a political stability that is rare in the region. Everything works discreetly, without visible tensions, without haste, and without the chaos that many mistakenly associate with Africa. It is one of those places where you can walk around at night with peace of mind, lose yourself in coastal villages, talk to strangers, and feel that time is passing a little more slowly. A country where luxury, nature, history, and temptation coexist in balance, and where many tourists arrive out of curiosity and leave with one thought in their minds. What if this were a good place to stay? As you have seen on this trip, Mauritius is not just a paradise island. It is an explosive mix of extreme beauty, harsh history, open cultures, and temptations that are hard to resist. A place where the past has left scars, but has also created one of the most fascinating societies on the planet. And if you want to keep traveling, don't miss our next video to discover another incredible place that will leave you speechless. Click on it, you're going to enjoy it.